What I really needed was to recreate myself, which means to bring something new into the world that has never existed before.
Today I have Jason Harris, the author of the Soulful Art of Persuasion, 11 habits that'll make anyone a master influencer. Who wouldn't want to do that? Welcome, Jason.
Everyone wants to do that.
There's no other way. The first thing that jumped out at me about your book was how it seems to be like a modern day Dale Carnegie spin on the way life is now versus the way it was, the old way. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that ultimately, and the 4 principles and the 11 habits. I want to dive into all those, but tell us a little bit about how someone like you from Virginia ended up going into advertising, living in New York City, and now is the author of a book.
Yeah, I mean, I had a strange upbringing because my parents, we were talking about that earlier, but my parents were both academics, and I kind of felt when I was like 12 or 13, I didn't really find my tribe, my niche, my groove,
Mm-hmm.
and I watched a lot of TV, and I always really studied those. We don't do ads as much now because it's more all digital and social, et cetera, in advertising. But I did love those 30-second breaks in between the shows. And I always wondered when I saw it, like, would I buy that thing? And then as we got into like thinking about, you talk about career day in school and
Mm-hmm.
what people do. And I realized that, that's someone's job is to think about those products and how to sell them. And I realized early on, like I'd watch the Kool-Aid Man and Lego My Ego and all those different ads, which I'm sure you remember.
Oh, yeah.
And so I kind of early on, I knew I wanted to go into something in that field. I wasn't sure what it was. And then I grew up, I don't know if you heard me ever talk about the Kiss story.
No, the band?
Okay. Yeah, the band Kiss was when the first time I feel like I got persuaded, but I didn't really realize it at the time. But as a kid, I joined the Kiss Army.
Oh, no kidding.
And they would send me like which I thought they wrote, they'd send me handwritten letters with like stickers and keychains.
Yeah.
And they would have us call radio stations to get them to play Kiss. They created like an influencer network, like analog style, where they would connect with their fans through mailing them things and asking them to call radio stations in their area. And then, show up at concerts. They'd give you, let you know when their concerts were coming. And I would buy all their albums and go to their concerts. And I was so blown away by the character and the story and the mythology that they created with these,
Mm-hmm.
the Catman and the Spaceman and the Demon.
Yeah.
And I realized that they created a brand and a story, and I was very drawn to it as a kid. And then being part of the Kiss Army, I felt like I was sort of in this tribe.
Mm-hmm.
I was in like a group, and I really liked that when I was growing up. And I would just play their music all the time and run around the house. And what's funny is my kids, I took them to their first concert at Madison Square Garden. This was like, I guess, year and a half ago, like pre-pandemic, but not that long ago. And we got like a face paint artist to come in and do our faces.
Wow.
And I got them like little blood capsules they could like raise in their mouths. I have 2 boys, so they loved it. And now they can tell their friends when the question comes up, what was your first concert? They have to say a Kiss concert, even though they absolutely hate the music.
I went to my first Kiss concert right before the pandemic in Jacksonville. So it must have been the same tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like my first one.
or something.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. It was fantastic. My friend, it was in 2019, so it would have been a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Because
That
that was
sounds
the
right.
year. Yeah, it was 2019 in Jacksonville, and they came all dressed up, and they've been lifelong Kiss people, and I have not. It's really cool. So they created a tribe.
Yeah.
Wow, early influence. Someone thought of
early
that.
influence. Yeah, that was influenced by them, and you know, they're a spectacle. You know, they're fun.
Wow, that's cool. Tell me a little bit about your business mechanism, and the unique process you have there on branding. I mean, that was like almost as much information as to have a whole show on, but connecting the dots from you start you start in the advertising business, so to speak, the storytelling business, brand telling, brand story building, all the awesome stuff, and connect the dots between that and the book, because I want to dive right into the being more influential and more persuasive.
Sure,
I
yeah.
think.
So I got, when I went to college, got out of college, and just started working I worked at a design firm, and then an advertising agency, and then another advertising agency, and I always had that entrepreneurial spirit inside of me, and I sort of realized I was going to learn and get experiences from different mentors and managers and learn the business, and then try to go on my own. And I started one company that was really just me. I did it all on my own, and it was, the producing, the ideas, the pitching, the invoicing, and it was very unsustainable. I burned out on that real fast because it was just me doing everything. And so I had some friends that also had, I had like a content business. They had like a digital business. And we decided to like merge the things together. And that's Mechanism, which is the agency now, which has been around about 15 years. It's Mechanism with a K. Because we went to register the URL and the CH was taken, mechanism.com. So we changed it to a K instead of arguing about a different name.
That's funny.
Yeah. And so we've been doing it, independent creative agency. We work with, some of the biggest brands out there, and got 4 offices, 200 people, and it's been really fun. And that's the part I like. Like I knew I wanted to get in advertising early on, but the part I really like is the entrepreneurial part of, helping build brands and taking risks, and, that idea of like kind of making your own decisions really has been, for me, more fulfilling than the advertising part even.
Yeah, I think you're underselling your advertising background. Like, did you see that movie Fake Famous yet? The HBO, the fake. There's a lot of fake famous advertisers, but you're the real deal. Like, you had Peloton, Ben and Jerry's. Like, you've brought some big stories to market.
Definitely.
And that's exciting. So your credibility, with being able to persuade should go a long way. As we connect the dots, not to take away from the book, but why would you want to go out and write a book and teach your concepts? What was the driver there?
Yeah, so I originally set out to write a book that was about lessons from some of the greatest advertising campaigns that people could apply to how they brand themselves in the world, and as I sort of started out on this adventure, which took about 3 years to complete because I was writing it part-time. It wasn't it was like a side hustle thing. I tried to write a book. And I realized as I researched and I read a lot of business books and self-help type of books. And I realized that you mentioned it sort of early on, the Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I realized that those seemed a little, there was great points made in them, but they all felt a little transactional. They felt a little bit of like what you think of when you hear the word persuasion, which is almost tricking people or getting people to like you so that you can ultimately get their money. And
Right.
I felt like that was not the way I had built my business, not really what I believed in. So I ended up writing a book about persuasion or selling, and it's a lot of storytelling. It's about personal character, and then advertising stories from my business are woven into those points. So I sort of reverse engineered it from an advertising book that people can learn characteristics from to a book about character with some advertising stories in it. And that's the book that, that's the Soulful Art of Persuasion. And it's really about how anyone can learn these habits to become more influential, but it's like rewiring the way you think about business and success.
Because things are different. I mean, we chat about that before I hit the record button. With cancel culture, you got a very skeptical consumer now, and I think that old schmoozing comes really heavily telegraphed. I mean, people see it coming a mile away now.
Definitely.
And
totally.
So that's really that was something that I love that book, and I read that book in my 20s. I've read it recently, and there's some great points in there about about life, but there's some ways that could be unethically used as well with someone who's disingenuous trying to motivate or persuade you using non-genuine likability factors or whatever you would call it. But your book is 4 principles.
Yeah.
That I want to chat about, and 11. I think it was 11 habits you had said.
Yeah, the habits come out of each principle.
So you got be original, be generous, the concept of soulful, and the concept of empathetic.
Yeah.
So let's get into because with being original, and one of my favorite parts of the dialogue I've heard about was turn and face the strange.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So be original, that principle, that concept really boils down to the Oscar Wilde quote, "Be yourself, everyone else is already taken." And it's just that really idea of knowing your values, knowing your idiosyncrasies and your interests and your role models and what really makes you tick. And it's sort of, all about leading your story with who you are versus letting the world and your relationships kind of create the story for you. And it's really about being the driver. Similar to, I think, some of the ideas in the book that you put out. But that is really all about don't be afraid to wear your idiosyncrasies on your sleeve and tell people about it and be vulnerable. Like we just started talking, and we already talked about my experience with divorce, and you talked about your experience with a near-death experience. And that's a great example of where we were instantly bonded because I'm opening up to you and not trying to put on that I'm something I'm not. Right. And you did the same with me. That's a great example of being original and going straight at being who you are and not trying to sell or pitch or win things by saying you love golf, but you don't. Or
right. That's the point I was making out of the. Yeah, there was always when we sold insurance, we were always told because no one wants to buy insurance. Yeah. They don't think they're going to die. Like no one ever got that point. We sell life insurance. They don't think they're going to die. So you have to put the cook in the kitchen. And if they don't trust you, you're out. So you got to get in rapport as quickly as possible. So the guy that taught me was an original tin man. He used to sell aluminum siding.
Oh my God.
And he would always say, find something, anything, a picture, a bike to get commonality with them. And I think today's consumer is so smart to that. I mean, a lot of times I loved meeting people anyway. I wouldn't trade it. I was in people's homes, knocked on their doors cold. I wouldn't trade that experience for anything. And the ability to
Wait, you
create
actually
rapport.
like went to people's doors and knocked on them?
Thousands of them. Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
No
yeah.
way.
Oh yeah. To sell them life insurance. It was door knocking. And boy, I'll tell you, when you know your numbers, some will, some won't. So what next? Someone will. About 1 in 10 people will say, you know what? I've been thinking about that. So you get right into it. Yeah, you knock on the door. I saw a couple bikes. Do you have a college plan? Do you have life insurance for your kids? That's what we do here at Prudential. And 5 out of 10 will tell you to beat it. 4 out of 10 will be nice. 1 out of 10 says, I've been thinking about that. I probably should have that. Come on in. And you cut a deal. And while everybody else was sitting in a cube, I was, doing a couple of those a week and making pretty good money, in my 20s. But it's a lost art.
They don't do that now, right?
There's a company that does do it. There is a company that only does that.
Is that legal to do that now? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you can get shot, but it depends on where you are in the country. But you're they do it. You can do it because it's a product that the consumer's not motivated. You have an unmotivated buyer because they want to. There's the cognitive what do they call it? Cognitive dissonance. Is when your actions and your values are in conflict, your brain will create a excuse not to do it or to do it. In this case, if you have kids and you don't have life insurance, you're going to say, well, at least I'm not going to die yet. And, that's why we have fat doctors that smoke cigarettes. They're smoking cigarettes. They know it's not good and they're overweight, but they lie to themselves.
Yeah.
So life's changed a lot. I mean, that product is, it's still a product where very few people have it. Very few people actually own their own private life insurance. They have it through their employer. So that's what we did. And now, now it's social media. Like if it was easy to sell on social media, people would be doing it. They're not.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. But being strange about it, it's kind of, it's an interesting product. I could talk all day about it, but I got a lifelong lesson in rapport building.
Yeah.
And being real and getting to know people and getting them talking about their, what they're afraid of. And that's a big part of their lives.
Yeah. And another thing, like I firmly believe in, one of the habits in the book is this idea of never be closing. And this idea of letting go of short-term transactional thinking. Like if you're in someone's home, I'll take it to your analogy. Mm-hmm. If you're in someone's home, maybe that's different because that's a pure numbers game.
Yeah.
But in my business, if you make a contact with someone, you pitch their business, you learn about them, you learn about their product, their company, their service. Like with you, we make a connection. I go on your podcast. I could easily say that's transactional because he's promoting my book to his audience and leave it at that. Or I could see this as like the start of someone in my network and someone that I can have a relationship with and not be transactional in my thinking and try to develop relationships and thinking about your network as that's your value. That's and it should ever be expanding, not contracting. Yeah. And not think about things in terms of a zero-sum game where, you pitch something, you win, you move on, you lose, you move on to the next one. But think about it as, I'm investing an hour in talking with you. Mm-hmm. Why would I let that relationship drop to zero and not, know that if you're going to Costa Rica and I read something about Costa Rica, I can flip it to you.
Yeah.
And, you'll know that I'm thinking about you and that this is we're not closing. It's not like the deal's done and it's over. So that's a way I had to rewire my brain to think that way. Cause I don't think naturally people that build businesses approach it that way. I think they're always thinking about the next quarter and the results for the quarter after that and creating shareholder value. Versus, playing the long game and thinking about it as it's a collection of relationships over time that can lead to magical things.
There was there's a concept I learned when I was younger, because one of the things we were taught was to sell something very, very small, like something it was called the monkey's paw, and a no-brainer, like something that had a lot of value that they needed, that you can handle for them fast to get that relationship under the books, on the books, so to speak. Like this, even though no money's exchanged, we've shared values and exchanged a couple ideas for one another. But the monkey's paw is a nautical term for a rope, and at the end of the rope, you tie the knot so the knot lands at the end, so it has weight, so you can actually throw the rope.
Yeah.
And it's nautical, so it's where the sailors would take with the big boats coming with the big ropes, they send a little rope down and they loop it around, they bring the big rope up, these big cruise ships with the small rope. So that's the small sale or the small exchange that precedes a very large exchange.
All right. Okay.
And it's really, really, I never thought of it though, just in pure, like, don't let it go to zero. It'd be a shame anyway. Life's not so short sometimes, because at some point somewhere you may need help or guidance or another ear to bounce an idea off of. That's really good. Really, really good point.
Yeah.
Really good point. Never be closing. most common statement I get from business owners is, I'm not a good salesman. I'm not good at it. Or I can't sell. Or I'm not a good, I'm not good at selling. Very. Talk about the generosity. Talk about that principle of generous. Generous.
So this is one, in my book, like anything in life, things will come natural to you and things will have to be practiced. And that's when they become habitual, is when you consciously practice them over time, they become habits. So you don't have to think about them. They become unconscious choices that you make. But for me, like storytelling was always kind of natural for me, and being myself and creating my values also. Generous was one where I didn't start out business with a generosity mindset. I think whether it's sort of hoarding your contacts, or not giving people mentorship, or not giving people advice or counsel because it's chewing up your time.
Right.
Not recommending people that you find valuable because it's competitive. Not working with other, agencies, which is something I can talk about down the road. But this idea of generosity is really giving something away when you cross paths with other people, and make sure it's genuine. You're not doing it for some end goal.
Right.
You're doing it because that's your value system and that's what you believe in. And I think when you practice that and you also show respect to other people, that comes back to you in really incredible ways that you can't quantify, and you never know how. But there is the law of reciprocity long term that really does work. And so being a generous person will benefit others, but it'll benefit you as well. And that's something I'm not wired that way at all. And that's something I had to learn and practice.
It's actually one of the scientific provable ways to feel better.
Is that right?
When you give, you get endorphins. Yeah, you get a hit of all the good stuff.
I love that.
Yeah, you really do. I like it. When you just give somebody something and they feel better, you got to feel better. Like like, oh, I'm glad. I like that drop to zero. Don't let a relationship drop to zero. That's a great piece.
Yeah, and I think when people reach out for me for connections or contacts or anything, and I also, part of it is giving things away also. So like if I'm buying a book that I find inspiring, I usually buy like more than one copy and find someone that I have crossed paths with that I think could benefit from it. And I'll send them that. And it doesn't always have to be buying things. It can be sending information or advice, or, someone, my door's always open if, there's someone in the industry that needs mentorship, or in the entrepreneur world
Yeah.
that wants to bounce something off me. I'm very free with my, where possible, free with my time and advice. Because I know somehow that'll, I guess, get a dopamine hit, of course,
Yeah.
according to science, but also it'll come back to you in expanding that network and those relationships. So that's the essence of generosity.
The social contract. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, I've always helped people out and lift people up. But one of the things I do now with a lot of my solopreneurs is I know when they're doing well, and a lot of these people, their dads are dead. So I call them up, and say, hey, listen, I'm proud of you. Great job. I know you had a good week. And you'll be surprised that, once you celebrate, they may say, they'll send you a text that I had my best week of my life. I had a kid that I mentor, and he said, that's the best week of my life. Like, I'm sure no one else told him that, that feels good. It made me feel good. So I call him special. Just say, hey, I just want to tell you, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
We all want to feel.
Was that a behavior that was that learned recently, or did you always operate that way?
No, I was always too busy to do that. I was thinking like I had a number of appointments I had to hit, and if I didn't have room, I had to say no.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do my new journey is about location independence and 10xing free time.
Yeah.
If you want to 10x something, 10x your free time and do good things with the time. Don't watch Netflix and binge watch TikTok.
Right.
Do something decent with it, man, because you got a lot of time, and people waste a lot of time with ineffective advertising. But there's lots of things they can do to get their time back. So I'm trying to do good things with the time, and you can do that when you don't have your calendar booked to wall to wall. You can start.
I know
really looking.
that's a struggle that I am building a business and promoting a book. That's something that I am very. It's a scarce resource. Is time, and I'd love to get to a freer state with that.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, the book thing you got to do like theoretically once and do it hard and right, and then get it going, so it creates a momentum of its own. That's what these are great for. I mean, directly and indirectly, I know thousands of people will be watching this. Thousands.
Yeah, that's great.
I don't know how many thousand, but more than 2 or 3. So if one person connects with the idea, like don't drop a relationship to 0 or be a little more generous, and don't be doubt. There's new ideas out there on how to influence and persuade. Talk about personal genius or personal Jesus. I like that. I heard it was on your website. The talk you said that Jesus was the first CMO. And the principle of Soulful.
He was, and he was selling. Christianity. He did a really good job. He was a great marketer. But Soulful to me, I think that principle, you actually lived that principle, I think probably because your life experiences and also because you've had financial success. So you have some freedom. But wherever you are, there's sort of 2 aspects to being soulful. And that's why Soulful Persuasion is the title, because persuasion can have a negative connotation. You can think that you're tricking people into something, and the soulful part is, well, actually, persuasion. We have to persuade whether we like it or not all day long, and that's how life is. And it doesn't have to be a bad word. You can be a soulful persuader and turn it into influence in a positive way. And this principle, there's sort of 2 of them. One is skill hunting, which is to always be looking at developing new skills every 2 to 3 years. So I've never cooked before. I'm in a cooking phase right now. I'm learning how to cook for the first time in my life, which, I'm in my 40s, and that's a little late to be learning how to cook, but I'm learning it. I did it with chess, playing the bass, boxing. Every couple years, it doesn't have to be your main 10,000 hour skill, but try to add skills all through life that you can be somewhat proficient at. And I think what that teaches you is to develop other passions outside of work, but also to go through the learning process of the suck when you're really bad and you don't know what you're doing, and you stick with it and you get to that other side of that thing, and it's just adding to your skills over time. And we tend to be inspired with people that have a lot of skills and are like a Swiss Army knife. So I think that helps you become more influential. The personal Jesus piece, or the other part of that, is trying to be an inspiration to other people and try to do more than just focus on yourself, but try to do something to make the world a better place. And whatever skill you've mastered, try to apply that skill in a positive way. And that is a really fundamental principle that I believe in. And so, like, as an ad man, we started a nonprofit with like 100 companies in it that can, in advertising, it's real cutthroat business. And this is sort of a knives down, hearts out approach, where we can partner together to help things like, fight racism, gender equality, sexual assault, things like that. We can use our skills to create campaigns to combat those types of issues. And so even if an ad guy can do it, anyone can do it with whatever skills they have. So could be, a friend of mine is a barber in London, and he started cutting homeless hair one day a week in his lunch break. He'd go out in the streets and make people feel like someone cared about them and freshen them up. And then he started doing it 2 days a week. And then he started doing it every week. And then he started going around the world doing it. And then he's writing a book, and he became a speaker on it. Wow. And this is the guy who his skill was cutting hair. And so if a barber can do it and an ad man can do it, anyone can take their skill. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to boil the ocean. You don't have to do something massive. You can start small, like tutoring people in your community or giving financial advice to people that are, young or underprivileged who don't have any guidance. Whatever skill you have, it's about giving that away. It's another form of generosity. But the way that comes back to you is it makes you influential to others because you are doing something that you can talk about that is bigger than yourself. And that, to me, is a fundamental principle of being persuasive.
Well, those are the stories that have virality to it. I mean, that's a good story.
Yeah,
that's a good story. Change the world with cutting hair.
Yeah, you can do it. And it sounds like you're on that road as well.
Yeah, I mean, I have I always call it the change the world domino. Like in my TED talk, I talk about the domino effect, and the 1-inch domino or the 2-inch domino can knock over another 2-inch domino, but a 2-inch domino can actually knock over a 3-inch domino because it has additional action potential.
Oh, right.
We all store a little extra energy we're not using. And then, if you knock them over in order, they start to go up 150%. So if you knock a 2-inch domino over its full action potential in 50 dominoes, it's knocking over the Empire State Building.
No way. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's called amplified force.
I love that.
So I have dominoes. I was like, what's your business dominoes? Get your client from digital stranger to something, and then from something to something bigger, and make it bigger and better over time. But that's not what life's all about. My change the world domino is to help people find another way out of addiction.
Yeah.
Because the addiction modalities, there's 38 of them, and most of them are very, very poorly performing in the 80, 90 percentile. And they're very one-dimensional. Like, they don't put their knives down very well. They play in their own sandboxes, and they don't let other people, where the reality is you could probably curate those programs and come up with something that worked better for the world. So that's my change the world domino. And, to do that, I have to make my business domino work. Because I have the time and the money to do it. But I think life's like that. People are about, doing something that's, beyond your own life, meaningful. and I had a second chance with a donor, last second donor, and I wanted to do better with this, and I have a spare tire in my body, like organ could reject it. Already has a couple times, so each day I look at it differently than a lot of people do. But you play out, and if you live in these principles, you can win people over to your change the world domino, whatever that world is. And it leads us to the last principle of empathy.
Yeah.
And talk about that. And
I love the change.
I want to respect you.
That's really powerful.
Yeah, I had big dominoes. I have a 12-foot domino made to scale, so I can knock over 13 of them in a row from 2 inches to 12 feet.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So you're onto it too.
Did you do that on your TED Talk?
Yeah. Watch it. Yeah. I only did 6, because six ends up being almost 3 feet.
That's amazing.
6 ends up being about that big. So I couldn't take them. I was in Chicago.
So from this little thing, you can knock over.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's within, everybody lives one day at a time, but the problem is they live tomorrow like they live today. They don't play a little out. Like skill hunting is an example.
Yeah.
Can I box? Can I sing? Can I dance? Can I do a TED Talk? Can I, of course, you write a book 1 page at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
1 paragraph at a time. It's inside of you if you want it, if that's important to you. That's why I asked you, is that your first book? Because my first book was hard.
Very.
It's hard shit. It's not easy.
Yeah, you really lose a lot of sleep.
Oh yeah, then you get it finished. You think it sucks.
Yeah, it's like anything. Like I was in bands forever, and you had to go through the same process of whenever you're creating.
Right.
You're like, or the opposite. Like at the time you think it's brilliant, you read it the next day, you're like, this is fucking garbage. You're like, what is this? What was I thinking? But
that's funny you say that.
Yeah.
When someone else reads it, like, you're not publishing this, are you?
Yeah, no, this is a dumb idea. But yeah, empathetic. The last principle is really about making it about them and developing a curiosity for other people. That's something Dale Carnegie talked a lot about in some ways, but it's much more about finding commonalities and not differences, but not forcing those commonalities, not saying, oh, I'm into biking because you saw a picture of a bike. But looking at, it's more about the human experience and that we all are so similar. We have 99.1% of the same DNA. And it's that tiny percent that makes us all different. And we all think we're so different in our own little echo chambers, and our, we're sort of split into our own little groups, and that's all we care about. But really, there's a common humanity. We have common needs, common things that excite us, that bring us common ground. And I think it's about sharing that and really seeking out collaborations with other people and realizing you can't and don't have to do it yourself. And to do that, you have to really understand how to connect with people, and you connect with people by being an empathetic person, and that connection makes you ultimately more influential and builds your network and your community.
Yeah, that's powerful. It's hard to stay empathetic deliberately when you're so damn busy.
It really is.
You're worried about. I have so many more things I want to talk to you about. But there's one thing I had to ask you, because I want to respect your time. You're an ad man.
Yeah.
You're writing ads and trying to put messages out there to companies. And I know advertising is about disruption and differentiation. Like how has the ad business changed with cancel culture and the sensitivity to things and the sacred cow things you can't go after? Like, how's that? I'm just curious.
I mean, it's changed very dramatically in that you almost have, depending on your company or how you're set up, but you almost have like extra layers of people that need to look at your stuff before it goes out into the world and check off to make sure this doesn't it's not going to blow up in your face or defend. Can you make it make sense? And there's not a tripwire with it, because there's this whole group of trolls that are like sitting on they're sitting with their mouse waiting for you to post something that they can attack the company or create a backlash for. And as the stewards of the brands we work for, we have to protect them and make sure that doesn't happen, but at the same time make work that stands out, because people hate advertising. They love stories, they love brands, but they hate advertising. So you need to connect with storytelling, but also not offend. And so it's gotten infinitely harder to crack those ideas that thread that needle. And it's changed dramatically, and I'd say very quickly, like in the past, 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, my number one video got almost 10 million views so far. The only reason it got 10 million views, it was how to become the first millionaire in your family.
That's a great title.
And it was make $274 a day. Well, $274 a day is 100,000. So it was like that was the domino to get to $1 million, and then I didn't take taxes out. And it's like half the people said $274 a day isn't $1 million, it's 100,000. So everybody was calling me stupid. And then the algorithms pick it up. Like if you want to get viral, you also can make a mistake or typing error. Like when people are engaging with your profile, it goes. So that was like literally bad math. Bad math got me 10 million views.
Was that
it was TikTok.
Was it worthwhile?
Oh yeah, I do it again. I do it on purpose now.
I
don't do it on purpose. I like to leave, you gotta, it's the whole idea is it's not as hard as you think it is. Because if you make 100,000, it's a hell of a lot harder to make 0 to 100,000 than it is from 100,000 to $1 million.
Definitely.
It's way easier to get once you get the first 100. Even Buffett said that. But you've been awesome. I really enjoyed this.
Likewise, man. You've been awesome too. Thanks for having me on.
Tell us about how someone goes about getting your book and what else is available there.
It's the soulfulart.com. Soulfulart.com has more about me, links to buy the book. You can buy the book obviously on Amazon and anywhere books are sold. But I check that out, and you can connect with me on my social channels through that site.
Yeah, I'll do that as well. That way we can stay connected.
Yeah,
let it go to zero. If you ever need anything, reach out.
I'm not gonna let it go to zero. By the way, look at I didn't get a chance to use my shirt today, but
you're on mute.
You're on mute, because all day long I'm on these Zooms, and someone ultimately said you're on mute.
Oh yeah, I know. Your best shit comes out when you're on mute. You
That's
have an
so
idea.
True. You're like, wait, what did I say? Yeah. All right, awesome. Thanks, Terrance. This was killer.
Thanks, Jason.
All right, be in touch. See you.